Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about a fragrance that I have been in love with for just over a year or so. I discovered this about, I want to say, January of 2019. And this is my favorite fragrance from the house, although I do find there to be quite a few fragrances that I resonate with from this line. And of course, that is from Nishane. And this that we will be talking about today will be Fan Your Flames, released in 2016. This is a fragrance where I knew what the story was being told immediately. I knew what this fragrance was trying to tell me when I first applied it. And it's a story of lust and love and sensuality between two young adult lovers, kind of in their honeymoon phase, so to speak, just finding their romance. And that's what really, comes out of this fragrance for me from top to bottom. This is a tobacco fragrance, but I think for the most part, what this does for me is it crafts kind of a hot summer night vibe. Even though most people would consider this to be a fragrance that you would utilize in the fall and the winter, I find that this is, something you could wear all year round. And that's because of the type of fragrance that it is. I think it's very bold. I think it's very sensual. I think it's sexy and intelligent. This reminds me of taking your lover by the hand, right? And just dancing down a barren street that's only lit up by the street lamps in the middle of a 90-degree hot summer day with the sun just starting to go down and it's starting to cool off just a very little bit. And in the background, you have the city noise and everything else, but it's all muted because you're just fixated on each other. I don't know why this fragrance does that for me in particular, but it really reminds me of Latino culture, and it reminds me of something like West Side Story. I'm not sure why I get that, but there's a note in here. I think it's a combination of the coconut rum, and the cedar. The cedar it comes off is almost a little bit dirty, which I think can lend itself to being kind of sweaty skin. Someone who hasn't really put on deodorant. You're still fresh and clean or whatever, and there's these remnants of tobacco on your clothes because you smoked a really fine cigar and you've been sipping on rum all day, but you've been dancing in the middle of the street with your lover and you've worked up a bit of a sweat. That's really what this reminds me of. It's a little bit daring because of that. That cedar note that's utilized in this fragrance, I think, really does lend itself to the same kind of tinge of filthiness that something like Nasomato Duro has. So if that interests you, I highly recommend that you check out what I would consider to be one of the greatest tobacco fragrances in recent years that I've gotten my nose on. I mean, we have all sorts of things like Tobacco Vanille, Towers Vanilla Flash, Faden's Tobacco Rouge, Chergui, Back to Black, and those are all wonderful in their own right. But this is a filthy tobacco. I don't think that it's filthy, so far filthy. Don't get it in your mind that it's like some really pungent musk or some really out there like locker room type note. It's just a little bit hard, a little bit rugged, a little bit skanky. And the tobacco is just really present and very full-bodied and very much like cigar smoke. And I really love this fragrance. I think that for the price, you can get this for about $200 for the 1.7 ounce. And considering that, this thing lasts all day and all night because it's an extrait de parfum, you really only need about 3 sprays and you should be taken care of for the entirety of whatever it is that you're supposed to be impressing someone with by wearing this. So I think that you can totally justify the price for the magnificent juice that's inside of here, for one, and not to mention just the performance. The overall performance for most Nishane fragrances I find are pretty stellar. But this one in particular is out of this world. I feel like this stuff lasts 24 hours on skin, and if you get it on your clothes, it's just going to be there for weeks on end. So yeah, for 1.7 ounce, you can find this for about $200. I've seen it for a little bit cheaper, a little bit more. It just depends on where you're getting it from, right? So always just, do your best at scouring the internet for whatever you can find this kind of fragrance for a good deal. But I think that this one is one of those that tells a really beautiful tale, and it's one that paints just a vivid picture in my mind, and it's one of those that has kind of made me readjust what I like in a going out fragrance. I've gone from those super heavy sweet fragrances to like a little bit more bold fragrances, such as Fan Your Flames. I think that it's aptly named. I think that this house is wonderful. I think that this is one of the greatest tobacco fragrances, again, that I've tried in recent years, and I think that you should get your nose on this. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you're all being safe out there, and I will talk to you all soon.